Hi, welcome back, and sorry for the interruption. I had to move inside because of the rain, but as in the words of my view, one of Jamaica's foremost informative alternative news providers, every day above ground is a blessing. So I'm not going to complain anymore about what the Creator does. And um, him dropping a few raindrops on my head is Baruch. So we left off at fact number 38, and we're going to pick it up at fact number 38 and 39. So this segment is going to be in two parts because instead of hitting the pause button, I hit the stop button. So, it's starting over as a entirely new recording instead of picking up where I left off. So, part one was earlier, and now we're continuing with part two. And once again, I ask your forgiveness and your patience with me because some of the names in this book are very hard to pronounce, and people may not be aware of this, but I do have a bit of a speech impediment, which causes me to have trouble pronouncing certain words. I've worked very hard to overcome it, but it is still there. So I will misread sentences, and I will mispronounce words, but I will do my very best to correct those mistakes. And I know I have this habit of rocking back and forth. It's a thing with me. So anyway, I'm going to pick up at number 39 and carry on until I get tired, I guess. So, under the heading of race mixing, oh, to satisfy copyright laws, this reading is being done for educational purposes under the Fair Use section of the Copyright Act. And race mixing. Fact number 39. Perisina, a queen of Ethiopia, 60 BC, presented her husband Oedipus with a light-colored child, which color is strange among Ethiopians. She declared that it was due to the presence of a white statue in the room at the time of conception. Similarly, Maria Theresa of Spain and Austria, wife of Louis XVI, King of France, bore him a mulatto daughter in 1665. The queen spent most of her time with a Negro dwarf named Nabal, while the king passed most of his with the beauties that thronged his court. The doctors explained the color of the child by saying that the black man looked at the queen. It must have been a very penetrating look, said the king wrathfully. A noted writer of the time attributed the color of a similar child born to a high noblewoman to the mother's fondness for chocolates. Yes, they do have a fondness for chocolate. Anna, a Negro servant girl of Calavecchio, Italy, wife of a white mule driver, became the concubine of Pope Clement VII. Her son, Alessandro, born 1511, became reigning Duke of Florence and married Marguerite, only daughter of the Emperor Charles V, ruler of Germany, the Netherlands, and Austria, and Spain in 1536. White American slaveholders, actually, this now is fact number 41. Obviously, the one before was fact number 40. Fact number 41. White American slaveholders used to induce white women to marry Negro slaves in order to hold the women slaves for life. Thomas Jefferson. Fact number 42. Thomas Jefferson, third president of the United States and father of the Declaration of Independence, was the father of a large number of mulatto children. His wife protested loud and long, to no avail. Patrick Henry, another signer of that document, had a Negro son named Melanchthon. Fact number 43. Napoleon planned to solve the color problem in Haiti by making it legal for each man to take 3 wives, one white, one mulatto, the other black. He had several conferences with the theologians on this grand measure and tried to win the consent of the Pope. Fact number 44. In 1787, while a party of 351 freed Negroes was aboard a ship at Portsmouth, England, en route to Sierra Leone, West Africa, the authorities brought on board 62 white women, prostitutes, and others, whom they wished to get rid of, and married them to as many men and sent them off to be the future mothers of the colony. Fact number 45. In the 1850s, Mrs. Libon, an English woman, was queen of the slave traders at Rio Pongo, one of the principal slave posts in West Africa. She had a fort armed with cannon and armed by 300 devoted blacks. She had 3 mulatto children by a Negro, a boy and 2 girls. One of the latter married a white slave trader and the other a British consul. Fact number 46. The Countess of Beharanis, who was related by marriage to Napoleon, married a full-blooded Haitian Negro named Casting, who was a member of the Paris Convention of 1792 to 1795. Religion. Fact number 47, under the heading of religion. The oldest and most noted statue in the world bears the face of a Negro. It is the Sphinx of Gazé, which was worshipped as Horus or Armachis, the sun god of light and life. It was erected about 5000 BC. The devil, which is now depicted as black, was once portrayed as white. When the black man dominated the planet, he painted the forces of evil white. When the whites came into power, they shifted the colors, but as late as 1500, the Ethiopians still depicted their gods and heroes black, and their devils and villains white. Father Fernandez, a Catholic missionary who worked amongst them at the time, says they paint Christ, the Blessed Virgin, and other saints in black form, and devils and wicked men white. Thus Christ and his apostles are black, and Judas white. Ananias, Cephas, Pilate, Herod, and the Jews are white, while Michael is black and the devil is white. Fact number 48. Nearly all of the ancient gods of the Old and New World were black and had woolly hair. Buckley says, "From the woolly texture of the hair, I am inclined to assign to the Buddha of India, the Fui of China, the Aksa of the Japanese, and the Lakota? Lakot? Quizataza local of the Mexican, the same, and indeed an African or rather a Nubian origin. In the Bible, God, or the Ancient of Days, is described as having hair like the pure wool. The earliest statues of the Virgin Mary and Christ in Europe, as far north as Russia, were black and Negroid. Fact number 49. The Bible really originated in ancient Egypt, where the population, according to Herodotus and Aristotle, was black. Here the Jews received almost all of their early culture. Professor Breasted, leading Egyptologist, says the ripe social and moral development of mankind in the Nile Valley, which is 3,000 years older than that of the Hebrews, contributed essentially to the formation of Hebrew literature. Our moral heritage, therefore, derives from a wider human past, erroneously older than the Hebrews, and has come to us rather through the Hebrews than from them. Fact number 50. Psalms that read like those of the Bible were written by a pharaoh, Amenophis the fourth, better known as Akhenaten, the heretic king, 1300 BC, or more than 400 years before David was born. Akhenaten, who was the father of Tutankhamun, was extremely Negro in type. He is called the most remarkable of the pharaohs. Fact number 51. Ethiopians, that is Negros, gave to the world the first idea of right and wrong, and thus laid the basis of religion and of all true culture and civilization. The earliest exposition of this yet found is in the so-called Memphite drama, which is known only through a copy of a slab of basalt made by order of an Ethiopian king in 700 BC. Fact number 52. There were 3 African popes of Rome: Victor, 189 to 199 AD, Melchades, 311 to 312, and Saint Gelasius, Saint Gelasius, 496 AD. It was Melchades who led Christianity to final triumph against the Roman Empire. Fact number 53. The celestial saint of Germany, Saint Maurice, a pure Negro, while in command of a Roman legion in Gaul, Switzerland, in 287 AD, he refused to attack the Christians when ordered to do so by the Emperor Maximian Hercules, for which he was killed. His picture is in many German cathedrals and museums, sometimes with the German eagle on his head. Recent pictures of Hitler, nearly 1,700 years later, show Hitler also with the same emblem on his head. And if you remember in the first reading of this book, I showed a picture of both of those figures in history. Yeah, I showed you the picture. Under the heading Rulers, fact number 54. On November 15th, 218 BC, Hannibal, a full-blooded Negro, marching through conquered territory in Spain and France, performed the astounding feat of crossing the Alps with only 26,000 of his original force of 82,000 men remaining. He defeated Rome, the mightiest military power of that age, who had 1 million men in every battle for the next 15 years. Hannibal is the father of military strategy. His tactics are still taught in the leading military academies of the United States, England, France, Germany, and other lands. Fact number 55. Yusuf, a king from Upper Senegal, Africa, saved Moorish civilization in Spain in 1086. The Moors were being pushed out by the white Christians of Germanic descent. Yusuf crossed the Straits of Gibraltar with only 15,000 men, most of them pure blacks, and with 10,000 more from the Moors, met the white king Alfonso the Sixth at Zalaka. The latter had an army of 70,000, nearly 3 times as great, but Yusuf inflicted a terrific defeat on him. The flower of white knighthood was destroyed in that battle. Among those who fell later before the military prowess of Yusuf was Rodrigo Diaz de Bavir, known as the Cid, and the greatest figure of the heroic age of Spain. Fact number 56. In 1538, Askia, the great emperor of Songhai, ruled an empire that stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to Lake Chad and larger than Western Europe. His capital was Timbuktu. Fact number 57. The First World War in history was started by Abahara, Negro emperor and ex-slave, when he attacked Mecca, Arabia, in 569 AD. This war lasted for more than 1,000 years and stretched from France to beyond China. It brought about the fall of several great empires, one of them that later Roman Empire, capital Constantinople, in 1453 AD. Fact number 58. Muley Ismail, emperor of Morocco, whose mother was a Negro slave, had 25,000 white slaves captured on the seas or on the coast of Europe and the British Isles to build his palace at Meknes. Muley Ismail's stables were the vastest in existence, with stalls for 12,000 horses. Muley Ismail's ships raided the coast of Europe for slaves until his death in 1727. Fact number 59. John VI, King of Portugal, a dark mulatto, was the maker of modern Brazil, transferring his throne to Rio de Janeiro in 1808. He ruled Portugal from Brazil. This is the first and only time a European country has been ruled by an American. 1. Fact number 60. John the Sixth, King of Portugal, a dark mulatto, was the maker of modern... Oh, I'm sorry, I read that already. Fact number 60. Pedro I, colored son of John the Sixth, became first emperor of Brazil in 1822. Pedro I married the sister of Napoleon's second wife, Gloria. Pedro's daughter became Queen of Portugal and was a sister-in-law of Victoria, Queen of England. Many members of European royalty trace their ancestry to the Negro ruler John VI. Fact number 61. Jean-Baptiste Bernadette, a colored man, was the founder of the present royal family of Sweden. Enlisting as a private in Napoleon's army, he rose to be field marshal. In 1818, he ascended to the throne of Sweden as Charles XVI. Kataweo, king of Zululand, South Africa, massacred an entire British army sent against him in 1879, and a few days later defeated and killed the Prince Napoleon, heir to the French throne. Setoweo taught the Europeans the skirmish line in warfare. That was fact number 62. Under the heading of slavery, fact number 63. The word slave was originally applied to white people. It comes from Slav, a Russian people captured by the Germans. Fact number 64. Continuing under the heading of slavery. The first slaves held in the United States were not black, but white. They were Europeans, mostly British, who died like flies on the slave ships across. On one voyage, 1,100 perished out of 1,500. At another time, 350 out of 400. In Virginia, white servitude was for a limited period, but was sometimes extended to life. In the West Indies, particularly in the case of the Irish, it was for life. White people were sold in the United States up to 1826. 50 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Andrew Johnson, President of the United States, was a runaway and was advertised for in the newspapers. Imagine that. Fact number 65. Between 1526 and 1859, there were 33 slave revolts in the United States, one of which was that headed by Nat Turner of Virginia in 1831. With only 6 companions, Turner set out to free the 3 million slaves. The United States Marine and 2 warships were sent against him after he had killed 55 whites and captured several plantations. The Seminoles, or runaways of mixed Indian and Negro descent of Florida, fought 3 wars with the United States to preserve their freedom. Fact number 66. In 1670, Virginia passed a law forbidding Negroes from buying white people. This was 51 years after the Negro had arrived in chains. The same law was repeated in 1748. Free Negroes bought white people in such numbers in Louisiana that the state made a similar law in 1818. Fact number 67. White children were kidnapped in the British Isles at the rate of several thousand yearly in the 17th and 18th centuries and sold into slavery in America and the West Indies. Sometimes they were bootlegged and sold as Negroes. White Americans, North and South, were also kidnapped or seduced and sold as Negroes as late as 1859. One of the most celebrated cases of a white person sold as a Negro was Sally Mueller, who was held in servitude in Louisiana for 26 years. Court after court ruled against her. Finally, her birth certificate was dug up in Germany, and she was freed by the Supreme Court in 1818. Fact number 68. Prince Abd el-Rahman, a highly educated grandson of the Emperor of Timbuktu, was captured in battle and sold into slavery in America. Years later, a white doctor who had traveled in his land saw him at Natchez, Mississippi. Rahman was freed in 1829. $4,000 was paid for the liberation of his children. Fact number 69. In 1860, there were 487,000 free Negroes in the United States. Some of Negro slaveholders, some of whom owned slaves. Let me read that again. Fact number 69. In 1860, there were 487,000 free Negroes in the United States, some of whom owned slaves. C.D. Wilson estimates that there were 6,230 Negro slaveholders. The tax returns of Charleston, South Carolina for 1860 showed 132 Negro slaveholders with 390 slaves. The Negro slaveholders, like the white ones, fought to keep their chattels in the Civil War. Fact number 70. The Brazilian Emancipation Proclamation of 1888 freed all the slaves on the day of promulgation. The British Emancipation of 1834, not until 4 years later, while the American Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, when issued, freed those slaves whom Abraham Lincoln had no power to free, and permitted the continued enslavement of those whom he had the power to free. Very interesting. Fact number 71. In Arabia, in parts of North Africa, white persons, mostly women, are still held as slaves, as are many Negroes. Sometimes the owners of these white slaves are Negroes. And now we go to the heading of sports. Fact number 72. The fastest bicyclist the world has ever known was Marshall, Major W.T. Taylor. He defeated the champions of Europe and America. His greatest feat was the winning of the 1-mile motor-paced race in 1 minute 19 seconds. He died in 1932 at the age of 54. Fact number 73. The Afro-American, though but a dot in the world's population, holds or has held an unusually high percentage of world athletic championships. There have been 13 world boxing champions: Jack Johnson and Joe Louis, heavyweight; John Henry Lewis, light heavyweight; Tiger Flowers, middleweight; Joe Walcott, Dixie Kid; Jack Thompson, welterweight; Henry Armstrong, 3 titles: welterweight, lightweight, bantamweight; Joe Gans, lightweight; George Dixon, 2 titles: bantamweight and featherweight. Negroes have held 10 Olympic titles: the Hart-Hubbard board jump, 1924; Eddie Tolan, 2 titles, 100 meters and 200 meters. 1932, Ed Gordon, board jump. 1932, Cornelius Johnson, high jump. 1936, Jesse Owens, 3 titles, 100 and 200 meters and broad jump. 1936, John Woodruff, 800 meters. 1936, Archie Williams, 400 meters. 1936. National and university titles and world record-breaking titles in sports have been held by the hundreds. Of 12 intercollegiate championships competed for June 1st, 1940, Negroes won 8. And yesterday, Jamaica made history. 1, 2, 3. Under the heading, Warfare Commanders. Fact number 74. The Rock of Gibraltar, the symbol of stability, is named after a Negro ex-slave. It is a corruption of Gibal Tariq, of the mountain of Tariq. Tariq, who was a Moor, captured the rock, which was then called Calp, in 711 AD. Later he conquered southern Spain. Tariq's countrymen thereafter ruled Spain for 700 years. Fact number 75. Abraham Hannibal, captured as a slave in Africa, was adopted by Peter the Great as his son and taught military engineering. Later, Hannibal became tutor to the heir to the throne and commander-in-chief of the Russian army. He died in 1782 at the age of 90. Owning vast estates and 2,000 white slaves. Fact number 76. Toussaint L'Ouverture and his great mulatto rival, General Rigaud, were both thrown into the same dungeon in France by Napoleon in 1802. Later, at St. Helena, Napoleon declared that the imprisonment of Toussaint was a grave political error. Fact number 77. Toussaint Louverture had planned after Haiti was freed to go to Dahomey, West Africa, and use it as a base from which to fight the slave trade. For this purpose, he saved 6 million gold francs, equivalent to that sum in dollars now, which he entrusted to Stephen Girard, an American ship captain. After the treacherous capture of Toussaint, Girard would not turn over this money to the Toussaint's family. During his 9 months' imprisonment, Toussaint was tormented by Napoleon's agents to reveal the hiding place of the money. Later, Girard, a Frenchman by birth, became the richest American of his day. He left millions on his death in 1831 for the founding of Girard College in Philadelphia, stipulating that it should be for whites only. He also gave money to buy coal for the poor of Philadelphia with the same provision. Interesting. Fact number 78. Jean-Francois Coy, leader of the Asian blacks in 1791, an ex-slave and once superior officer of Toussaint Louverture, rose to be a grandee of Spain. This gave him the privilege of calling the King of Spain cousin and wearing his hat in the royal presence. He was a favorite at the court of Madrid. Fact number 79. Napoleon had 12 West Indian Negro generals who served in France, namely General Alexander Dumas, once Napoleon's superior officer, André Regard, Marshal Bessy, B. Lavelle, Antoine Clolat, J.B. Belly, Magloire Peleg, Alex Piton, A. Shanlat, Bartholomew Vallette, and Eugene V. Mentor. Fact number 80. Mohammed called the Mahdi, an ex-waiter of the Sudan, defeated every army that England sent against him, one of which was 11,000 strong. At his death in 1885, he had carved out for himself an empire in Africa, 1,600 miles long and 700 miles wide. Among those killed by the Mahdi was the famous English general, Chinese Gordon. Fact number 81. One of the most daring leaders of the Filipinos against the American troops in the Philippines in 1899 was an American Negro deserter named Fagin. A short story based on his life by oh my goodness, a short story based on his life by Roland Thomas, noted American writer, won first prize of $10,000 in a nationwide contest in 1914. Fact number 82. General A. Dodds, a Senegalese, was France's best-known soldier prior to the First World War. In 1901, as a senior general, he commanded for a brief time the Allied Army, white Americans, Germans, British, French, and Japanese, against the Boxers in China. The Germans, unable to tolerate that, hurriedly sent out a field marshal. Fact number 83. Captain of the Navy S.H. Mortonall, an unmixed Negro, commanded the air defense of Paris from 1916 to 1918 with 205 planes and 10,000 white men under him. It was he who located and destroyed the big Berthas that used to bombard Paris from a distance of 60 to 80 miles. Fact number 84. Captain of the Navy S.H. Mortonall, an unmixed Negro. I read that already. Fact number 84. The leader of the last successful Cuban revolt in 1933 was Fulgencio Batista, a Negro sergeant from Orient Province, who was later president of the Republic. Under the heading of warfare, men. Fact number 85. The United States has had 7 big wars, exclusive of Indian ones. The Negro has distinguished himself in all of them. In the last war, France awarded the Croix de Guerre to 4 whole Negro regiments. The 369th, the 370th, the 370th, 371st, and 372nd, as well as to the 1st Battalion of the 367th. 60 Negro officers and 350 non-commissioned officers and men were decorated for valor. 41 Negroes have received the Congressional Medal of Honor for bravery. Fact number 86. In the American Civil War, the Negro played a role similar to that of America in the last World War. That is, both provided a balance of power that brought victory to one side. Without the aid of the Negro, there might have been no United States now. Abraham Lincoln said 4 times that without the Negro it would be impossible for the North to win. This statement is all the more striking since Lincoln, in response to popular prejudice, steadfastly refused at first to employ Negro troops, though the South was doing so. Instead, he wanted to ship the Negroes away, and in 1862 had Congress to vote $600,000 to send the first installment to the Isle de Vache in Haiti. The colony ended in disastrous failure, and Lincoln sent a ship for the surviving Negro deportees. Fact number 87. 178,975 Negro soldiers fought in the Union Army between 1861 and 1865. There were 161 Negro regiments as follows: 141 infantry, 7 cavalry, 12 heavy artillery, and 1 light artillery. The total number of Negroes aiding the Union Army was perhaps twice that number. Fact number 88. The number of free Negroes in the United States who fought to perpetuate slavery is not exactly known, but there must have been thousands. In June 1861, Tennessee began to recruit Negroes between the ages of 18 and 50. South Carolina did the same in 1862. In a review of 28,000 Confederate troops held at New Orleans on November 23, 1861, 7 months after the outbreak of war, there was one regiment of 1,400 free Negroes. Preston Roberts, a Negro, was unofficial quartermaster to General Nathaniel Forrest. He was given the Cross of Honor, the highest Confederate medal, and until his death in 1910 was treated in all respects like a white man in the South. Fact number 89. The national hero of Buenos Aires, now the city of Buenos Aires, was Antonio Ruz, El Negro Falcho, who died rather than let the rebels pull down the flag of Buenos Aires and hoist that of Spain on the night of February 3rd, 1810. A magnificent monument stands to his honor in that city. Fact number 90. The first two Americans to be decorated by France in the First World War were Henry Johnson and Needham Roberts, both Negroes. Johnson killed 4 Germans and wounded 28 others single-handed. Under the heading Miscellaneous, fact number 91. The most ancient names of so-called black people are Nehishu or Nubian, Ethiopian, and more from ancient Egypt, and Negro or Negrita from West Africa. All the above are native African words. Negro is probably the oldest, as the Negroitos are the oldest known branch of the human race. Negro comes from the river Niger. Niger found its way into Latin, and since the people from that region were dark-skinned, Niger, Negra, Negrum came to mean black. Negro, Negrito, Negrita means the people of the great river. Black and colored like white are, on the other hand, European words. Ethiopian and more were popularly used to describe the so-called blacks until 1500. Shakespeare uses Negro only once and uses it synonymously with more. Africa comes from the ancient Egyptian Afruka or Kafrika, the land of the Kafir. Fact number 92. The English word admiral and the French equivalent amiral were adopted as a result of the great admiration held for the Negroid sea rovers who used to scour the coast of Europe for slaves as late as the 19th century. It comes from Amiral Bahar, Lord of the Seas, the commander of the sea rovers. The principal port of the latter was Salih, Morocco. A United States squadron under Commander Decatur went to Africa to free the white Americans held there as slaves. Fact number 93. Ex-Cassier Willem II had a Negro uncle by adoption. His grandfather, Willem I, adopted a Negro boy given him by an African explorer as his son. Henri Noel, as he was called, grew up in the royal palace and was an officer in the German army. Fact number 94. The chief Back to Africa leaders were Paul Coffey, Major Martin, R. Delaney, African explorer, Pop Singleton, William Ellis, Chief Sam, Dr. Throne, and Marcus Garvey. The last name had a following much greater than the rest combined. Now the Jamaican. Fact number 95. Tony Simpson, a humble Louisiana Negro posing as Prince Antonio Apache of Arizona, became the social lion of the elite of New York and Philadelphia in 1903. Among those who feted him in their drawing rooms or in the Among those who feted him in their drawing rooms or in the Golden Horseshoe at the Metropolitan Opera were Mrs. John Jacob Astor, Mrs. Howard Gould, and Mrs. John R. Drexel. Even President Theodore Roosevelt was taken in. The latter consulted Prince Apache several times on Indian affairs at the White House. The prince was tall and imposing, dressed like a Beau Brummel, and had the manners of a Chesterfield. He used to wear a wig attached to a tuft of his own woolly hair. Fact number 96. After his famous speech at the Atlanta Exposition in 1895, Booker T. Washington refused an offer of $50,000 for a series of lectures because it would interrupt his work at Tuskegee, which was bringing him much less. Fact number 97. Haywood Shepherd, a free Negro, was the first person killed by John Brown's party of white and Negro raiders at Harper's Ferry in their efforts to free the slaves in 1859. Shepherd, while running off to arouse the white people, was shot dead in his tracks. Fact number 98. The blacks, like the whites, have been struggling for thousands of years to change their hair from its natural form. Negroes arranged their hair with hot irons in Egypt more than 5,000 years ago. Fact number 99. An American Negro has 20 chances to a white American's one of reaching 100 years and over. Fact 100. Since 1460 AD or earlier, the Negroes of Seville, Spain, had been wearing in the religious procession on the feast of Corpus Christi a white robe and hood, strikingly like that used by the Ku Klux Klan, which originated 428 years later. So that's the list of the 100 amazing facts about the Negro. I have to dig into this book some more, because some of the stuff in here does not sit well with me. And First Wesleyan University Press Edition 2014. I'd like to get my hands on the original publication of this book. Yeah, this is not the original publication. Yeah. Anyway, the next section is titled Proof, and I'm going to leave it there for tonight and pick it up next time with the proof section. I want to see what this proof section is all about, and like I said, I really would like to get my hands on the original publication of this book, because this copy was, looks like it was published in 2014. That is very recent. Yeah. Anyway, if you've enjoyed your time with me, I humbly ask that you like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you haven't enjoyed your time with me, I hope that you have at least learned something. Until next time, Baruch and Shalom.